When you think of the bodybuilding landscape in the late 90s and early 2000s, one name rises above all the rest: Ronnie Coleman. For nearly a decade, the King laid waste to his competition, securing a record 8 Mr Olympia titles, tied with Lee Haney, and 26 pro wins during a career that revolutionized the entire sport. Beyond his performances on the stage, Coleman is also remembered among pure strength athletes as one of the strongest bodybuilders ever, thanks to feats like his iconic 800-pound squat, which has more than 60 million views on YouTube. Ron's early life and his police career. Ronnie Coleman was born in Bastrop, Louisiana, on May 13, 1964, and later played college football as a middle linebacker for legendary coach Eddie Robinson at Grambling State University. He graduated with a degree in accounting and looked to put his education to good use with a career crunching numbers. But after relocating to Texas, Coleman couldn't land a job in the field, so he answered an ad for a police officer position while working at a Domino's Pizza. He graduated from the police academy soon after and joined the Arlington Police Department. Amazingly, he'd remain on the force until 2004, even as he later racked up Mr Olympia wins at the top of the sport. Turning pro, along the way, Coleman started training at the famed Metroflex gym in Arlington. It was here where owner Brian Dobson saw the 24-year-old's potential in bodybuilding and convinced him to compete in a contest in exchange for a free gym membership. He returned to the Olympia stage in 1994, finishing in 15th. His first pro win came 1 year later at the Canada Pro Cup, which earned him another trip to the Olympia, where he moved up to 11th. He repeated as a third-place finish at the 1997 Ironman contest had him briefly considering retirement. At the show, he placed behind runner-up finisher Lee Priest, who was 6 inches shorter and almost 60 pounds lighter. Though he later called the loss the most painful of his career, Coleman decided to carry on, and he wound up finishing 9th at that year's Mr Olympia. Coleman's biggest victory at this point in his career came after the Olympia on an international tour with the IFBB tiers. Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, and Nasser El Somebody ranked among the favorites, while Coleman was, at best, an afterthought. But something had changed in the year since Coleman's last Olympia appearance. He began working with new coach Chad Nichols. The duo instantly gelled, and Coleman walked onto the stage that year looking bigger and more conditioned than ever. In a huge statement to the entire industry, Coleman won that year's top prize in an upset for the ages, but he was far from finished. The King won a string of shows afterward, including 2 more Olympia titles in 1999 and 2000. He was a fighting champion, appearing in contests around the world and regularly besting the likes of Wheeler, Levrone, Ray, and Chris Cormier. But he began facing stiffer competition as his burgeoning dynasty marched on. A dynasty put to the test, Coleman started 2001 by winning the Arnold Classic, marking the only time a reigning Mr Olympia had won the show. But he ran into some unexpected trouble later that year when he went to defend his Olympia crown. At the show that year in Vegas, a young Jay Cutler pushed the champ to his limits, and even today, many think the King deserved the runner-up spot that night, especially after he lost on points to Cutler after the prejudging round. Though Coleman eventually eked by in a controversial decision, it was the first time he looked vulnerable since 1998. The 2002 Olympia saw Coleman again beat out Levrone and Cormier for the title, and it seemed like he was fully back on track to continue his run. But he and the rest of the bodybuilding world were in for a shock a few weeks later at the GNC Show of Strength contest. Coleman showed up to the competition in New Orleans off the mark. Germany's Günther Schleikamp, on the other hand, was more impressive than ever. By night's end, the 300-pound Schleikamp scored a titanic upset, leaving Coleman as the first reigning Mr Olympia to lose a non-Olympia contest since Sergio Oliva lost to Arnold Schwarzenegger at the 1970 Mr World. Looking to reclaim his spot as the sport's unrivaled juggernaut, Coleman went to work and trained heavier and harder than ever, chronicling his grueling prep in the workout video The Cost of Redemption. He returned to the Olympia in 2003 at an astonishing 287 pounds and made quick work of Cutler and Schleikamp en route to his 6th Sandow Trophy. It was the same story in 2004, but he had put on even more weight to fill out his already massive physique. His 8th and final Olympia win came in 2005, when he tied Lee Haney's mark for the most titles ever. He looked to secure sole possession of the record in 2006, but a dialed-in Cutler finally managed to dethrone his longtime rival once and for all after a 5-year pursuit. Coleman attempted a comeback in 2007, but he tumbled down the standings to 4th place. It was his final show as a professional bodybuilder. Ronnie Coleman's competition history. Coleman's bodybuilding career ended with 26 pro wins and 8 Mr Olympia titles to his credit. Here's his full contest history, courtesy of Muscle Memory. Ronnie Coleman's injuries and surgeries. The years of heavy lifting and non-stop training eventually caught up to Coleman, and he was forced to undergo over a dozen surgeries in the mid-2010s to repair various hip and back issues. With his accolades even in retirement, Coleman remains a popular figure in the bodybuilding world thanks to the launch of a supplement line, appearances at conventions and on podcasts, and a robust social media presence that has earned him nearly 7 million followers on Instagram. In 2016, Coleman was inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame, thanks to his enormous body of work and long-lasting impact on bodybuilding. Then in 2021, he was honored with the Arnold Classic Lifetime Achievement Award. The venerable Coleman is still revered by athletes and fans internationally, and he has vowed to stay involved with the sport that he credits for the success he enjoys today.